Hello, my name is Anthony Germanes, and this is my research video presentation. As a culmination of research presentations 1, 2, and 3, the following thesis has been developed. In the face of overpopulation and climate change, architecture can provide sustainable and self-sufficient solutions through the reuse of waste as building materials, incorporating vegetation into building structures, and preparing ourselves for the rise in water levels. The diagram you see here represents the 3 assignment categories shown as rings and the various topics that exist within them. As you can see, there is a connection that can be made between each layer that will contribute to the thesis. We can begin to look at a role of connection as we investigate waste, element, and program. As a discourse related to our thesis, it is important to understand and investigate where our waste is coming from. Through this investigation, we can begin to think of solutions to the issues. Can we try to cut down on our waste, or can it be repurposed and used in an architectural application as a useful material? Here, the element or the structure is the method of research as it relates to the discourse and the thesis. This home being built is using waste as a building element and reimagining its purpose. While using bottles as a building material is the specific waste being examined, the idea that any form of waste can be repurposed is the result of this method of research. By building prototypes, we are able to see and test our ideas prior to creating a large-scale plant. This will result in a more reliable and successful end product. This also plays a role in architecture providing sustainable and self-sufficient solutions. Once we have chosen a discourse and a method of action, what can be done to contribute to the outcome and success of the thesis? Through the discourse and method, we have determined that waste and its repurposing as a building material can provide sustainable solutions to minimize the effects of climate change. A program now can be established to set in place a plan to reuse recycled materials as building elements. The adjacent images show how recycled shipping containers can be used at a large scale to create neighborhoods and towers. While Terraform 1 also looks at creating a sustainable future, their primary focus is within the urban realm. It can be seen through an analysis of Terraform 1 that they also follow the same path of waste, element, and program. In their research, excessive waste is seen as an opportunity to be crushed and resized into blocks that can be used as a building material. Element, as it relates to sustainability in the urban core, is a self-sufficient pod that can provide families daily vegetable needs. Program is investigated through routing, zoning, and density, district assigning, and resource production to facilitate an ecological city. Next, we can look at another flow of discourse, method, and context through health, method of examination, and sustainable production processes. As it relates to the thesis, how does health contribute to providing sustainable solutions in the face of climate change? We can see in the graphic on the left that there are many opportunities through architecture. Many aspects of a healthy city can also provide a healthy environment. As a research assignment, the discourse of health can help inspire new ways of thinking that promote healthy lives while benefiting our environment. Once the discourse has been chosen, we can move on to the method of examination of why it is beneficial and how it can be implemented. The image on the top explains how green space and vegetation can provide a healthy environment. The image on the bottom is an investigation into the inclusion of sustainable solutions in a built environment. By researching case studies of previously constructed green spaces, we can see what the application is successful and how it might shape our project. Through an examination of why and how, we can begin to see that promoting health can benefit the environment. To support the discourse and method, we need to investigate ways to implement these ideas. We have determined that the inclusion of plant life into building structures can contribute to a sustainable future. Through sustainable production process, we can develop the technology that makes this practice possible. As a discourse of health, ideas of growth and living homes are examined by Terraform 1 through the investigation of new materials and ways to grow them, as well as its application of these materials into a housing unit. As a method of examination, Terraform 1 performs a critical analysis of these living pods through their examination of the science that drives the project. Through their examination of the science that drives the project, it begins to form the framework of their design. A context that is important to the outcome is the development of sustainable production process that can make possible their discourse and methods. Next, we can look at another flow of discourse, method, and context through water, assertion, and social behavior. As climate change worsens, one of the biggest issues cities will face are the rise in sea levels. With many metropolitan communities living in close proximity to water, major relocation of people will need to happen if a solution is not found. As a discourse topic related to this thesis, we need to determine how an architectural intervention can provide a sustainable future as we deal with the rise in water levels. To find a solution to the problems created by rising water levels, architecture can play a role not by preventing it, but by embracing it. As a method of research, we are claiming that the water levels are going to rise no matter what we do, and we should find a way to live in this new world. The images on the left are examples of habitation and cities moving towards the water rather than running away. By making an assertion that the water levels will rise and we must embrace it, we are giving our project a direction and are now able to begin to create a basis of design. As a context to the discourse of rising water levels, the action of moving habitation out towards the water, our social behaviors will need to adjust to accept these changes. We need to learn how to live life off of land and contribute to the community the way that will look very different. As a discourse topic, Terraform 1 investigates how the rise in water levels will affect New York City. Through various waterfront projects, they look at what can be done with the existing infrastructure to brace for these rise in levels. As a method of assertion in an ecological city, Terraform 1 dictates that the success of an urban ecosystem depends on the ability for individuals to provide for themselves and grow their own vegetables. To be able to make many of Terraform 1's projects successful, the social behavior of everyone living in these new typologies will need to change. As architects, we create structures to exist within a given site that can improve the quality of life for those who occupy them. As climate change worsens, what good are our structures if the sites we build upon become compromised and uninhabitable? As a new approach to architecture in the future, we will need to contribute to the environment rather than take away from it, and embrace the already occurring changes in climate. As the world population increases, more of our resources are consumed and therefore more waste is created. With much of this waste becoming pollution, we need to think of a sustainable option for its disposal. Rather than reusing waste into building materials gives architecture the ability to play a role in the reduction of waste pollution. Waste as a building material is not the only way our structures can give back to the environment. Incorporating vegetation on buildings adds green space back to the environment that was removed to make room for the building and positively benefit the environment. While we can make changes that will improve our impact on the environment, we may need to accept some of the effects are already created by climate change and adapt to how and where we build. As water levels are already rising, we will need to develop ways to live on the water to avoid mass migration of people from coastal regions. Thank you.